I won the lottery. And suddenly I'm not the black sheep anymore. For my entire life, my family treated me like I was invisible. I was the black sheep, the afterthought, the one who always got the short end of the stick. They'd go on family vacations without me and made it painfully clear I was on the outside looking in. But the moment I won the lottery, suddenly I was their favorite. The question is, was their newfound affection worth a single penny of my winnings? Growing up, if my family was a solar system, I was Pluto. Technically there, but so far on the outskirts I might as well not have existed. My brother and sister were the golden children, orbiting my parents in a warm glow of approval. I wasn't a bad kid. I got decent grades and stayed out of trouble. But my interests were different. My path wasn't the one they'd picked out for me. And for that, I was pushed into the shadows. It was never about big dramatic fights. It was the quiet, constant feeling of not belonging. It was sitting at family dinners where the conversation just flowed around me, as if I were a ghost at the table. It was the birthdays they'd forget until a day later, always followed by a hasty, guilt-driven text. The final nail in the coffin came a few months ago. I was scrolling through social media when a picture stopped me in my tracks. It was my entire family, mom, dad, brother, and sister, grinning, sunburned, and happy in front of some famous European landmark. The caption read, "The best family vacation ever." I didn't even know they were planning a trip. When I finally worked up the nerve to call my mom and ask why I wasn't invited, her answer was a casual stab to the heart. "Oh, honey," she said, "we didn't think you'd want to come. Besides, the budget was really tight." The sting was sharp, but familiar. It was just one more piece of evidence that I was the family's footnote, their optional member. About a month after the vacation that wasn't, I was feeling particularly invisible. On my way home from work, I stopped for gas. On a total whim, I bought a lottery ticket. I never play the lottery. It always feels like throwing money into a black hole. But that day, it felt like a tiny $2 act of rebellion. I shoved the ticket in my wallet and promptly forgot about it. Later that night, I was cleaning out my wallet and there it was. I pulled up the winning numbers on my phone, scanning the screen more out of boredom than anything else. The first number matched, then the second, then the third. My heart started to pound. Fourth number, fifth. My hands were literally shaking. I checked the ticket, then the screen, then the ticket again. This couldn't be real. Every single number matched, I had won. Not a few $100s, not even a few thousand. I had won a life-changing amount, over $2 million. For a solid hour, I just sat on my floor, staring at this little piece of paper that had just detonated my entire reality. The first feeling wasn't even joy. It was this strange, terrifying clarity. For the first time in my life, I had power. I had independence. And my very first decision was to tell no one. Not a soul. I needed to figure out what this meant for me before anyone else could tell me what it should mean for them. Before I cashed that ticket, a dark, cynical thought crept into my mind. It was an idea born from years of feeling like a last resort. I decided to run one final experiment. I wanted to see, without a shadow of a doubt, where I truly stood with them. I started with a text to my sister. "Hey, I'm in a bit of a jam. My car just died, and the repair is more than I can handle right now. Any chance you could lend me a couple $100? I can pay you back next month?" An hour later, her reply came, "Oh my God, that sucks. I'm super broke right now, sorry." Followed by a sad face emoji. I knew for a fact she had just bought a designer handbag. Next, I called my brother. Same story. His response was a dismissive grunt. "Tough break, man. I'm saving for a new gaming console, so I'm tapped out. You should learn to budget better." Click, he hung up. Finally, I called my parents. I explained my fake problem, hating the pleading sound in my own voice. My dad cleared his throat. "Son, you need to learn to stand on your own 2 feet. We can't always be there to bail you out." This, from the same man who co-signed my brother's car loan without a second thought. Each rejection was a small, familiar pain, but it just confirmed what I already knew. Their support was conditional, their love was reserved for the golden children, and I was, as always, on my own. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but the experiment was a success. A few weeks later, after I'd met with lawyers and financial advisors, the news went public. You have to claim the prize publicly, and even though I tried to keep it quiet, "A local resident wins millions" headline travels fast. Almost immediately, my phone began to explode with calls and texts from people I hadn't heard from in months or even years. The first call was my mother. Her voice was dripping with a syrupy sweetness I hadn't heard since I was 5. "Honey, we saw the news. It's a miracle. This is such a blessing for the whole family." Notice she didn't say congratulations. No, how are you? Just an immediate, possessive we. Then came the text. My sister, who was too broke to help me a few weeks earlier, sent a long message hinting that since I was rich now, I could pay off her student loans. My brother, Mr. Budget Better, just straight up asked me to buy him a new house. The shamelessness was breathtaking. The same people who wouldn't spot me a couple of $100s for a car repair now felt entitled to tens, even hundreds of thousands. The black sheep had suddenly become the golden goose. The pressure campaign came to a head when they called a family meeting at my parents' house. It felt like an ambush. I walked in, and for the first time in my life, every eye was glued to me. They sat me down on the couch as if I were on trial. My father took the lead, his voice full of false gravitas. "Son, we need to talk about this. Money, a windfall like this, is family money." My mother nodded in agreement. "Your brother and sister have needs," she said. "Your sister has loans. Your brother needs a down payment. It's only fair that you share." I let them finish, listening to their empty words about duty and fairness. Then I took a deep breath. "Fair?" I asked, my voice dangerously quiet. "You want to talk about fair?" I looked at my sister. "A month ago, you were too broke to help with my car, but now I should pay for your entire education?" I turned to my brother. "You told me to budget better, but now you want me to buy you a house?" Finally, I looked at my parents. "And you," I said, the years of hurt finally boiling over. "You talk about family money? Where was family when you took a vacation overseas and didn't even invite me? When I was nothing to you, I had nothing. Now that I have something, you want a piece of it? You don't get to treat me like trash my entire life and then pretend you care. This isn't family money. It's my money." The fallout was immediate and ugly. They called me selfish and ungrateful and said I was ruining the family. But for the first time, their words didn't hurt. They were just noise. I had finally stopped caring what they thought. My decision was clear. I was not going to be an ATM for their greed. My brother didn't need a house. He needed to learn to manage his own money. My sister didn't need a handout. She needed to pay for her own choices. And my parents? They needed to take a hard look at the family they had broken all on their own. But I wasn't heartless. I set up a small trust for my parents' future medical needs, managed by a neutral third party. It was an act of responsibility, not affection. For my siblings, I offered to pay for a few sessions with a financial planner, so they could learn the skills they so clearly lacked. They refused, of course. As for the rest of the money, I'm using it to build the life I always wanted. I've invested, I'm traveling, and I started a small foundation to provide scholarships for kids in the arts. Kids like me, who feel like outcasts and just need a little support to find their way. The money didn't change who I was. It just revealed who everyone else was. It gave me the freedom to finally build my own family, one based on respect and genuine care, not just blood. So that's my story. Now I have to ask you, what would you have done? Would you have shared the money just to keep the peace, or would you have drawn a line in the sand like I did? Let me know your honest opinion in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this story and want to hear more just like it, do us a huge favor and make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss what's next. In the end, winning the lottery was the best thing that ever happened to me, and it had almost nothing to do with the money. It was about the clarity. It proved that my worth isn't tied to my family's approval or my bank account. It comes from within. The real jackpot wasn't the millions of dollars. It was the freedom to finally, truly be myself.